Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Instacar HK. Today we're reviewing this 1996 AC Cobra Mark IV. Now the Cobra obviously has a very well-known name, it has a very celebrated reputation, showing the success of English and American partnership. It has a very good racing history. So the history, many people know about. AC Cars has been an English company for a long time. They make very reputable sports cars like the AC Ace. And in the 1960s, legendary American racer Carroll Shelby approached AC Cars and asked them if they can make a car for Carroll where he can put an American V8 engine into. AC said sure, they'll consider it and they'll make a car. On the other hand, Carroll Shelby went to first Chevrolet to ask for a V8 engine, but Chevrolet was worried that the new car would rival their own Corvette and therefore rejected Carroll's request. Ford, on the other hand, exactly wanted a car that would rival the Corvette and therefore offered their engines to Carroll Shelby. And by that time, AC was done with their chassis and the legend was born, being the AC Cobra. And the car we have here today is actually the Mark IV, which is produced between the late 80s to 1996. Production ended in 1996, and this was one of the last Mark IV models made. They made about 480 Mark IV Cobras, and the history of the Mark IV is also quite interesting because by 1970s, AC Cars wasn't actually making any more Cobras or servicing them. And one of their ex-employees who used to work on the Cobras, called Brian Anglers, came out and set up his own workshop servicing and restoring Cobras. Because of his knowledge, he quickly made a name of himself, and also because of his connection with AC Cars, he was able to buy a lot of the original toolings, original parts, and molds of the Cobra. And to a point, he started making his own Cobras from scratch. And towards the mid-80s onwards, he founded his new company called Autocraft, which was actually a joint venture with Ford. And they started to officially produce the Mark IV AC Cobra as cars to sell. And by 1986, they were able to buy the rights to the AC car name and therefore officially produce this 100% genuine and authentic AC Cobra Mark IV, which makes it pretty special because the Mark IV is the last generation of Cobra, which still follows the old way of making. Aluminium panels, panel beating, they were made with the original way of how Cobras were made. Because after this car in 1996, when Autocraft went into liquidation and another company bought them, then Cobras after that were actually all made in fiberglass. They just weren't made with the original blueprint as this car was. Many of you would probably already know this car because the owner is quite popular on Instagram. He actually bought it new in the UK back in 1996 and owned it for a number of years before bringing it back to Hong Kong. Now, unfortunately, in 2014, during one of the crazy typhoons that Hong Kong had, his garage got flooded, including the Cobra, which was in there. So the car was flooded and he had to send it back to the UK to restore it. He sent it to a specialist called Dragon Wheels, who helped them restore the whole car back to original spec. Now, Dragon Wheels has a very good reputation of Cobra and for their attention to detail and their originality. That's why this restoration was not your usual, get it done quick, get it out of the workshop, 2-year job kind of thing. It actually took 7 years for the car to be fully restored. The car only came back to Hong Kong last year. The reason it took so long is because they wanted to do everything back to original. They made sure they found original parts. If they couldn't find the original parts, they'll refabricate it in the original way. So the whole process took a long time, but the car is 100% genuine now, from all the interior to all the nuts and bolts, everything, except for the engine. Unfortunately, the original 5.0 liter V8 Ford engine could not be salvaged due to the flood. So they sourced another engine, also a genuine Ford 5.0 liter V8 engine from a specialist in the UK called Knights Engineering. The only difference is this engine now has 400 horsepower compared to the original 250, which is pretty crazy because this car weighs only about 1,000 kg. So let's see how it drives. I'm quite excited. A 400 horsepower car and a 1,000 kg car. Let's see. Now, time to go for a drive. First time ever in the driver's seat. The whole car is very small and feels very simplistic. You know, the doors are very thin, that's why it's so lightweight. You know, nothing out of expectations, but nevertheless, when you're in here, it's quite a different feeling than the other classics we've tried before. I see the car only has 350 kilometers. That was because, you know, that's all the mileage is done with the new engine. So yeah, the racing harness is quite cool. Very simple now. Let's start. So it's a fuel injected engine, so no need the usual carburetor sort of process. And let's start. Okay, now that the unmistakable Ford V8 war. Manual, obviously, 5-speed gearbox, traditional first gear, so not your dog leg. Let's see. Very compact, as you expect. Now, my first time starting off, so let's see the clutch. Now, the clutch is not heavy, it's easy to use. No power steering, obviously, but man, even just inside here, you're doing 0 speed. The engine sounds very loud and you know, strong. Now, sitting in here, immediately you notice a few things. First, this rear view mirror is right inside in the middle. You have these pretty cool sun visors, which are actually by this tinted plastic, tinted see-through plastic, instead of your usual leather or whatever. Steering wheel is good size. The whole car is extremely small. You know, typical, you reach to the other end and you touch the other door. There's only one rear view mirror on the side here, which is very small and you can't really see out of. But I think it's fine. You can just turn your neck and you can pretty much cover the whole car. Another cool thing is, first for me, this slanted gear shifter, very slanted gear shifter, and actually it really, even the gears itself is in a slanted position. So one is kind of like that way, 11 o'clock, second gear is 5 o'clock kind of thing. The gear shifter is very short, really, you know, focused type of transmission shifter. Clutch is super easy to use. It is not heavy at all. All right, you really have to turn your neck to look. Let's open the car up a bit. The sound, it's quite overwhelming. Like, you really, the whole atmosphere, the whole surrounding, you just get consumed by one single thing, the engine note. The engine note is really everywhere. That takes up the whole place. But nothing to complain about because it's a pretty damn good engine note. If you can hear me. Now, as you imagine, having a torquey 400 horsepower American V8 5.0 liter on a 1,000 kg car, pickup is very easy. It's just like that. There's no delay whatsoever. Just goes. You step on it, and very linear power delivery. Very traditional, naturally aspirated V8 type of performance. But being a small car, no windows, no top, you do feel quite exposed. Especially on a chilly day like this. You know, the wind, the temperature, everything is just around you. You feel really naked and exposed in this car. Quite different, really quite different from the other Tiger Tops convertible classics that I've tried. Let's see what it can do. Wow! It really goes! It really, really goes. There is plenty of power available. It does not feel like it goes out of breath, at least not in roads like this in Hong Kong. Listen to that sound! Wow, God almighty. And very easy to heel and tow, surprisingly. Just step on it and it goes. The brakes are very modern, very effective. You feel very exposed here. While it's stable, you know, for us doing some pretty rational speeds in Hong Kong, I can't imagine how, you know, racers of the day back then speed this through Le Mans and like close to 200 miles per hour. It's just crazy. I mean, the car feels stable, but it doesn't feel that stable. You know, it's still a relatively flimsy classic car. But to imagine it being thrown around the Le Mans circuit hours after hours is pretty remarkable. Now, legend has it that this car contributed to the British toll road system of having a speed limit, because apparently back in the early 60s, when the Cobra racing team was preparing their car for the Le Mans, famous Cobra racing driver Jack Sears was with the team, and they wanted to test the top speed of the car in England before bringing it to Le Mans for the race. At that time, the M1 was newly built and had a long, straight, flat road. And so Jack Sears and the racing team took a racing Cobra and went all the way up to 185 miles per hour on the M1, which back then did not have a speed limit, just like today's Autobahns. But apparently after that, the media caught wind of it. There was a big, you know, scandal, song and dance about this ridiculous, you know, racer racing around public roads. And after that, the British roads had implemented speed limits. Whether that's true, I don't know, but not surprising at all. Can you imagine the AC Cobra back in 1964 or whatever, just thundering down the M1 highway at 185 miles per hour? That is just crazy. Woo! That exhaust note just put a smile on your face. Well, I don't know about you, watching from the screen, but I had loads of fun. This car is really more than what I expected. Really smile factors over the top. And really happy with the owner, as always, being so generous and lending us this car for us to review, for me to enjoy. If you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed this car, please give us a like, please subscribe, please remember to click the bell button next to the subscribe button so you know when our video will come next. Thank you and have a good day.